What I mean when I say follow the money, I suppose follow the money trail would be the full sentence. What I mean is if you really want to get answers, if you really want to find out what's happening, you follow the money trail enough, you're going to get those answers that you want. Although those answers that you're going to go searching for when you follow the money may come with a certain level of, let's say, feedback or response, if you will, that, may be of a positive nature, it may be of a negative nature, but despite the fact, following the money will get you those answers. How you doing, Dana? As I walk from Breonna Taylor's memorial over here to Tyler Girth's memorial, paying them respect, the respect that I like to try to pay each and every day that I'm out here. Sometimes I might forget, I don't know. But today, I didn't forget so much. Rest in peace, Breonna Taylor. Tyler Girth, rest in peace as well. It was a heinous day, a heinous, heinous day. How you doing? I appreciate it. It's something I spontaneously wanted to put together. So, I did it with some facts, emphasis on facts that I have learned about from different sources. How you doing there? That's a good one. In a meeting today that was put together by a good friend that I've grown to know these past few months, I learned today that for some people, LMPD is underfunded. As shocking as that was to hear that phrase, I don't know. I still got to listen to it because this guy being the president of Metro Council, I guess, would know if it is under or overfunded. But the question remains, when he says it's underfunded, what is he saying? What is he talking about? My opinion, and when looking at a public budget, LMPD, it is out there, and after an open records request, looking at an itemized budget, and even a more fine-tuned budget that was open records request as well, it doesn't look underfunded to me, if you will. Then again, like I've always said, I haven't gone through the process of actually being employed by an officer, so there's some ignorance there that I've yet to experience, and don't intend on experiencing, don't get me wrong. But it does build emphasis on the fact that a different model does have to be in place that'll better suit citizens of the city, that when calls happen of a nature that deal with mental health, domestic violence, drug use, that they can better be handled with a different model that connects to the nonprofits and social workers in this city that deal with those types of calls that tie heavily with their mission statement on a consistent basis. Obviously, the current model isn't working. I don't know how many examples that need to be stressed, shown, pulled up on a PowerPoint to prove that fact, but my God, let's change this. When that topic came up, what was discussed was it'll be hard to switch to that model because a certain level of people who are currently waiting for the response from LMPD to see or get a result from the case that currently is happening isn't happening. So therefore, there's a need there for a budget that's necessary to handle those cases, look into those cases now. I don't know. What is the right answer? Of course, this is just one of a list of demands that protesters, marchers, and safe to say the city of Louisville, and safe to say the world are wanting now, because the world is watching. You see it on the news, you see it on YouTube, you see it in live, you see it at basketball games, people dedicating their entire game to Black Lives Matter, to justice. It's everywhere. I gotta get a picture of the statue. That's another factor. I appreciate you writing that. I'm going to say Mac. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know. Please correct me if I am, because, you type, you say something wrong. I'm fine being corrected.
Hello, this is the Louisville Metro Police Department. The time is 10:45 p.m. The park closes in 15 minutes at 11 p.m. Please collect your belongings and prepare to exit the park.
So where were we? I wish I could believe such things, Eva, but knowing him or what he deals with on a consistent basis, I couldn't say that my line of questioning was making him nervous. But if you saw that, then obviously that's what you saw. When, let's see. Let me go back to your question here, Mac. I got distracted by the loud voice at 514 West Liberty. Yes, that's where I was. Due to an amount of officers. Now, I don't know the actual number of officers that are within LMPD, and I don't know, after a graph of years of officers that need to be on board, that need to be in LMPD, but I with a different model, it may warrant that we don't need as many officers. You know, if we go back to Andy Griffith days, I don't know, when cops were called when they need somebody and to help, and also they were working with other nonprofits and organizations to help, we didn't need so many officers. You know, you can look in history as to when police officers or the police in general became so militarized and over-policed, but you know, the over-aggressiveness, the over-militarization of police and over-policing in general is just not necessary, it seems. It'd be nice to live in a world where you weren't afraid of police just by driving by them, walking by them, but here we are. That alone speaks volumes that there needs to be a change. And with that being said, and sorry to speak so vaguely right now, sorry to be speaking so much at all. Usually I don't like to talk during these things, but rather, Injustice Park is very sparse right now. People are on the side in the Hall of Justice, spending time with their friends or loved ones, and are slowly but surely vacating the park as we get closer and closer to 11 p.m. There was a march earlier. I missed it. It was a short one, they said, around downtown and back to 6th and Jefferson. I hope someone was live on it. I hope you all were able to see that. And I'll be getting back to the marches tomorrow. That's true. You know, one of the shocking numbers within that LMPD budget to me was the amount of money spent on ammunition. And as it was explained in the meeting today with President of Metro Council, David James, he stressed the fact that number dealing with that amount of ammunition was mainly used during training, the train to shoot these guns with that ammunition. And to go even further, budgets that I had looked at, about $2+ million going into overtime pay after the first itemized budget that I looked up. And then I'm stressing it being stressed that, you know, $5+ million has been used in overtime pay just dealing with these protests alone so far since July of this year. I'm sorry, not July of this year, sorry, but since the beginning of the protests, however. It's astronomical. But you think about that number as it relates to, in my opinion, the unnecessary amount of policing that's been happening since the beginning of these protests. It just really speaks volumes on the fact that we do need to create a different model yet again. But as I said, this is simply one of a few different demands. The other that I've been having my eye on, citizen/civilian review boards. My God. It seems to me that what's been being discussed heavily is indeed mimicking that Atlanta model from what I've noticed. You know, earlier I posted a small image of what it would look like if you as a citizen had a complaint and wanted to file it with the Citizen Review Board, and then going through that process and finally getting a response back to the chief at the end of it. The question arose, does this Atlanta model have subpoena power? Does it have disciplinary power? Does it have bite? In Atlanta? Yes, they do have subpoena power. Will it have subpoena power here in Louisville? Currently, there is no subpoena power. But after reading articles, it seems Mayor Fisher is fighting for that, amongst a few other things. If you want to read that article I'm referring to, look it up, Courier Journal, Mayor Fisher, Civilian Review Board. It should come up. I don't know. I could find it too and post a link to it in the comments after I get done with this live, or when I get back to the computer, however. I don't know. You should check out some of the streams from Portland that last night. The protesters policed themselves. You know, I do agree with that. I need to check out the streams from Portland. There seems to be a lot going on out there that I need to catch up on. I started watching them a few nights, but I have fallen off since. There's a lot going on in Portland. Agreed, Dana. Agreed. Seeing with my own eyes how many cops to come out with guns pointed at everyone here in Justice Square Park to take down one person who was at the time laying down unarmed was astounding. Absolutely astounding. If LMPD is being funded to over police, that's not holding themselves accountable. What is the answer? Bill, it's a good question. I'll have to research that and get back. But if you find the information before I do, please go ahead and share it. Cheryl, I do appreciate this, your writing, but in this particular case, seeing with my own eyes, you could clearly tell that he was not armed, nor the other people that the officers pointed the guns toward. These aren't necessarily what ifs, this is what I was seeing with my own eyes that day, which happened to be the same day that the rest of the 87 people who were arrested on Daniel Cameron's front lawn were released from LMPD. There's an interesting fact that needs to be noted as well. That's probably already known, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. So if you already know this fact, then it's just something you already know. Despite the fact of me going on and on about budgets, there was already a budget that was approved maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. Let's just say it was a few days ago. I don't know. But simply put, even if a team of people came up with a budget that would make sense, even if those people presented that budget to Metro Council and whatnot, it couldn't be looked at or even began to be implemented until next year. The next fiscal year, that is. So, with that being said, The budget that was approved. What does it look like? Do we believe in it? Did it push less funds? Did it defund the police? It did not. Did it give them more money? It did. What will this next fiscal year look like with LMPD with more funding? What will be the result of the other demands? What will be the outcome from literally thousands of protesters, millions across the world? Only time will tell. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. It's my pleasure, Cheryl. It's definitely my pleasure. Say her name. Breonna Taylor. It's from July to June. Stephanie, in my opinion, it will happen within this 4-week timeline that Grandmaster Jay stood on those steps and spoke about. In my opinion. What that result would be, I couldn't say. I definitely don't want to get into spreading possible conspiracies. They are, Lisa. They are. I appreciate it, Thomas. I'll have to look into that, Mandy. I need to make a list. Looks like I have some homework. Not that I'm complaining, I enjoy homework. Yes, please send Rosie to Washington. I need to start making plans myself. Guess I can hop on the bicycle in a couple of weeks and just start making my way up there. Stop in a few cities along the way, I don't know. And that's the scary thing, Lisa. You know, I can say I too, to a large extent, don't think he meant burn it down literally with fire. But the scary thing about it is we don't know, because he didn't leave an outline. You know, in my opinion, his presence, their presence, I should say, he and the rest of the members in NFAC, it was kind of like this for me. It's as if I was sitting in a classroom with about, 30 to 40 other students. We're all in our chairs and a teacher walks in this case, Grandmaster Jay. He goes to the front of the room, slams a book down on the desk and stares at everyone to assert dominance. And he says to everyone, welcome to class. In 4 weeks, you're going to have a test that's going to be 90% of your overall grade. And then he walks out. He leaves. He doesn't leave a lesson plan. He doesn't leave an outline, but he leaves. He defends some gossip that happens here and there, but he leaves. And every student in that room is left to ask themselves, what do we do next? Oh my God, what's going to happen in 4 weeks? I need to study hard, but I don't know if I'm studying the right thing. I don't know if I brought the right book. I don't know if I have the right pencil. I got this lead pencil, but people tell me to use Ticonderoga. I don't know. That's what it feels like to me. I have, Paul, and I need to do more.
Hello, this is the Louisville Metro Police Department. The time is 11 o'clock. The park is now closed. Please exit the park. Also, if you're parked illegally or parked up the street, that may be there, you may be subject to tow. Please remove your vehicles so you don't have to tow it. Thank you very much.
I forget the last thing he said, but one of the things he did say, he did hint at coming back or staying around to teach people how to build community. I think that was the phrase he used. This is super good. We know they do. Lisa, that's a good question. And in my opinion, it's because of the level of leadership and unity he delivered, that show of power. That show of power indeed. We just don't know. And I'm going to add to the fact that when he did actually say the words, it looked like he was actually directing his eyes and his body toward the area around him to burn it down. Because he didn't refer to a system. He didn't refer to specific groups or people. He said, this mother effer down. There's only a certain number of options our minds can go to after that. I don't know. Yeah, I caught that too. Ah, I see. My apologies. Let's see. What did the park guy say? The last thing he said was if anyone's parked here illegally at meters that aren't paid, they're going to be subject to be towed, is what he was saying. I know, right? I did kind of just walk through the park. Let me get out of this park. Forgot where I was for a minute. 4 or 5 LMPD officers come out here and tackle me and saying I was illegally trespassing. Freeway indeed. Jacoby, somebody asked me what was the last thing that the guy said over the intercom at 514 West Liberty, and the answer to that question is that if anyone is illegally parked at a meter here along 6th Street and along Jefferson Square Park, they are indeed subject to being towed. That was what was said about the meters. Precisely. That is a correct statement. They don't. Why he brought up meters, I don't know. They did. I'd say about 2 hours from this very moment, they took a march around the downtown area. Quite short, but still impactful. In Justice Square Park.